This Davos, I thought I would start with you talking about your portfolio, Russia, the Middle East. You successfully negotiated peace in Gaza. But we first have to talk about this elephant in the room when it comes to Greenland. What's the thinking behind this?
Well, I think the president feels, as many other presidents before him have indicated, that it's of strategic significance, importance. It's just strategically critical, and we're in the best position to defend it against adversaries and enemies. And I agree with that position.
The president's talking about if he doesn't get Greenland, there's going to be tariffs on the Europeans. At the same time, you're trying to bring the Europeans on board to get an agreement on their soil, on their continent in Ukraine. Does it make your job more challenging?
No, he makes my job easier, actually. I'm his emissary, and he sets the table pretty good for people like me.
Do you think there'll be an off-ramp on Greenland? What are the conversations like right now?
I think the president is an incredible negotiator. He'll get to the right place.
And those negotiations could potentially take place here in Davos?
I think there'll be some discussions here.
Do you think a lot of leaders are going to show up to the Board of Peace event? Because Emmanuel Macron has left, von der Leyen's leaving. They're all going to have an emergency summit on Greenland.
You know, we've got 20 or maybe 25 leaders who have already said yes. This is not such an easy place to get to. They've already said yes. I think you're going to see overwhelming response. We had many people who we weren't sure if they were going to even want to get an invitation. Now they're calling up for invitations. So everyone wants to be a part of this. What we're going to do here, what the president is going to do here, will be it'll be game-changing for the world.
How have you pushed the ball forward when it comes to Ukraine talks here? I know Kirill Dmitriev was here on the ground.
Yes.
He was tweeting about how the talks went well.
He's a tweeter.
Can you? Yeah, he is. He follows me. Can you give us some insight into, if the talks are going well, where are we at this moment? What is the state of play?
Well, the Ukrainians have said that we're 90% done. And I agree with them. In fact, I think that we've made even more significant improvement over this past weekend. We were meeting with Kirill Budanov, who is, of course, their new vice president, ran military intelligence for them, their head of the parliament, David, and with Rustem Umerov, and we made even more progress during those meetings in Miami this past week. I'll be with them tonight. And I think that, and then I'm going to Moscow with Jared. All of these discussions are...
When are you going to Moscow?
Jared and I will leave Thursday night and arrive in Moscow late at night and then go over to the U.A.E. afterwards for working groups.
So do you think we are close to the final 10% of this deal? Do you think this will get done in the next few weeks?
The final 10%, I don't know about the next few weeks, but I know we've made more progress in the last 6 or 7 weeks since Geneva than we've made, according to the Ukrainians now. I'm going to use their, what they say. According to the Ukrainians, more progress than in the last 3 or 4 years.
We've seen, though, Russia continue their attacks, especially on critical infrastructure, most recently energy infrastructure, leaving thousands, maybe millions of Ukrainians without power, without heat. Do you think Putin is truly here for a peace deal?
Well, first of all, they're in a war, and so they're shooting at each other, and we don't condone that. I mean, we think it's unfortunate. That's why the president and me at the president, with Jared at the president's direction, are working so hard for the peace. We hope that'll occur. We think people, you're right, are suffering on both sides. It's cold there, and not to have heat is terrible. And we've got to correct all of these things. But a peace deal corrects it. And the president is focused on that peace deal. It's a very, very important part of his agenda from a foreign policy standpoint.
But do you think Putin is there, or is he just dragging negotiations on for the sake of it?
I think that they've asked for the meeting. The Russians have invited us to come, and that's a significant statement from them. And Kirill was here yesterday and working on this with us. So I think everybody is embedded in the process and wants to see a peace deal happen.
If we do not get to a peace deal, what does the toolkit look like in terms of potentially more punishments on Russia? I know I've spoken to a lot of CEOs which said it was a pretty big deal that the president went after Lukoil and Rosneft. What other measures do you think we could see?
Well, if a peace deal happens?
If it doesn't happen.
Oh, if it doesn't happen, okay. Well, we've sanctioned them quite a bit, and I'm not sure what the president's game plan would be if it doesn't happen. I think if it doesn't happen, a lot depends on who he thinks is responsible for it not happening. Right now, we have people working together. We're trying to build consensus. We're trying to build unanimity of opinion. We've sent an invitation out to President Putin to join the Board of Peace. The same thing with President Zelensky. So let's hope. I want to choose to be an optimist here. I think we're going to get a positive response from both. I believe that.
If there is a peace agreement, what are you hearing from corporate America and even European CEOs about rebuilding Ukraine and even going back and doing business in Russia? All of them had a presence there, and then they fled at the start of the war. We
have told Ukraine that we think that their GDP, their economy, can triple over the next 10 years. That's an assessment, by the way, by BlackRock, who is working on this, and Larry Fink is here now. They have done an exceptional job, by the way, with our staff. But we have told them that the sky's the limit for their economy, and we believe that. I think that's the secret. That could be the secret sauce here, not just a peace deal, but aspirationally a better world and a better life for the Ukrainian people who have sacrificed so much, and for the Russian people as well.
I want to also ask you about your other big focus, which of course is the Middle East and what is going on with Iran. Have you had back-channel discussions with the Iranians, either directly or through the Omanis?
Well, the president has indicated that there have been some discussions, and that's what resulted in the Iranian statement that the killings will stop.
Do you believe them that the killings will stop?
Well, there's been a lot of killings. And
it's been horrific.
And that's terribly unfortunate and horrific. That's a good word, because it is horrific. These people were defenseless. They were just coming out into the street saying, we want to change. You shouldn't be killed for expressing a viewpoint that you want changes. So Iran needs to change its ways. They need to do that. And if they do, if they indicate that they're willing to do that, I think we can diplomatically settle this.
Have you gotten the sense from this outreach that that is the path they want to solve this, in a diplomatic way?
We don't have that sense yet. We would have, I think their foreign minister was supposed to be here, couldn't come, or was even maybe disinvited. I'm not sure. I was actually looking.
Do you think it would be appropriate for him to come here, given the level of destruction and killings?
Well, I was looking forward to meeting him, because I think we need to build that communication channel. We have to, because the alternative to that is not a good alternative.
Do you have plans? I know you're going to Moscow. Then you said you're going to go to the United Arab Emirates.
Yes.
Do you have plans to potentially meet the Iranian foreign minister in the next few weeks or months?
We don't have a plan, but I think we're moving in a direction where we could have that conversation if they're willing to have that conversation.
I just want to end on what a year it's been. You're literally at the epicenter of massive seismic geopolitical shifts. You were very successful when it comes to Gaza. You're now dealing with a very hot topic when it comes to Iran. These negotiations continue to grind on Ukraine. What has been so challenging?
Well, first of all, we have a great administration. We have an amazing team. We have the ultimate boss, President Trump, and he sets the table for all of us. But Marco Rubio has been amazing, too. I get to work with the State Department with an incredible array of talented people. And my job is now made even more easier because Jared and I are doing so much together. So the president is focused on solutions. He's focused on cleaning up all these conflicts. He independently has settled 8 wars, and now we're on a path to settle all the rest of them. And I'm proud to work for the administration. I tell the president all the time, these are the great moments of my life.
You don't strike me as you're preparing for an invasion of Greenland, though. So it sounds like potentially that could be solved here at Davos. Could you tell us what the president's going to say?
Well, I don't know what he's going to say, and I wouldn't presume to speak for him. But I think what he's going to tell, I think his feeling is that this is a strategic asset, and we have to make sure it's defended. And Denmark cannot defend it in an adequate way as compared to how the United States can defend it.
And just for logistics, as far as you're concerned, the president looks to be maybe on time now, catching up some speed.
I think so.